Part 12. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 112. Black Soldier K, selling level 1 magic weapon, the Cane of Pain. The old man in the tuxedo pointed to one side. Everyone thought that the waiter would bring up a cane, but they never expected that the sound of wheels could be heard in the darkness. In the trading hall, only one light shone on the old man in the tuxedo, and the rest was in darkness. Following the old man's guidance, another spotlight lit up and shone on a shelf that had just been pushed in. On the shelf were Rudolph's 11 canes of pain. 2 layers, 6 at the bottom and 5 at the top. At this moment, everyone felt like they were going to a suit store to pick canes. Are all the magic weapons sold on shelves now? As you all know, there have been many evil priests recently, and a large number of relics of the priests of pain have been taken away. And these 11 staffs are level 1 magic weapons made from the relics of the priests of pain. You all know the function of the staff of pain. It can amplify the pain of the enemy and is a good auxiliary magic weapon. If you want to make the enemy lose resistance quickly and want to leave some time for torture, then the staff of pain will be your first choice. Level 1 pain staff, asking price 70 gold shields each. The staff of pain is very popular, and the first 10 staffs of pain are sold out quickly. What surprised Rudolph was that there was only one staff left, so many people participated in the bidding. The last one was sold for 110 gold shields. Rudolph was very satisfied and bought it for 810 gold shields. After the bidding ended, the old man in the tuxedo spoke again. Black Soldier K, selling 2 level 1 magic weapons, Night Pearls. The Night Pearl relic was taken from a level 1 white demon priest. Its function is to produce flashing light, which has a very good blinding effect. Of course, according to its name, this magic weapon can also be regarded as a Night Pearl. The light is soft and can be adjusted according to the input of the Apostle's power. The consumption of the Apostle's power is very small and can be ignored. Level 1 Night Pearl, asking price 50 gold shields. No one would complain that their magic weapons are too few. If the enemy is not on guard, it is easy to be attacked by the flashing light of the Night Pearl. The 2 Night Pearls were quickly sold out, but unfortunately there was no premium. Black Soldier K. When the old man in the tuxedo spoke again, some people whispered to each other below. It's him again, who is he? How come he has so many magic weapons? He's obviously a wizard, and a very murderous wizard. Many apostles died in his hands. This kind of wizard who just appeared and didn't know how to bury him usually died quickly. The tuxedo host continued. Black Soldier K, selling 2 level 1 magic weapons, endless pens. The effect is that it can hold an unlimited amount of ink. There was a brief silence in the trading hall. Then, many voices burst out in the darkness. Is there something wrong with this Black Soldier K? What kind of magic weapon did he make? Endless pens. Can the endless pen stab the enemy at the moment of life and death? I write no more than 3 words a month, and ordinary pens can last me until I die. Isn't this pen redundant? Is Black Soldier K really not short of money? Why did he make such a useless thing? Faced with these voices, Rudolph was also a little uneasy. The tuxedo host pointed to the display cabinet on the side, which contained 2 pens. The pen was inlaid with gold thread, and it was the most expensive pen Rudolph could find in Lehmantown. Level 1 endless pen, asking price 30 gold shields. After hearing this asking price, the people below fell silent again. After the silence, they were puzzled. Why did this pen dare to ask for 30 gold shields? The pain stick with attack power and the Night Pearl with a little attack power are only 50 or 60 gold shields. This pen that can only write can also be worth 30 gold shields. Before the people below laughed at this outrageous asking price, they heard a servant shouting. The White Queen offers and is willing to buy this pen. Soon, other voices sounded. Black Elephant C offers 40 gold shields to buy this pen. Unexpectedly, those big flags offered one after another. The paint stick did not attract their attention, but the 2 pens made them enter the market. Rudolph breathed a sigh of relief. His strategy was right. Those shirtless, ferocious-looking people would not understand that sometimes, waste represents status. Rudolph certainly knew that it was a waste to make a relic into a fountain pen. But have you ever seen any noble who was not very wasteful in food and clothing? Waste is a manifestation of strength. People who are struggling on the line of life and death, wandering on the line of poverty, and struggling on the line of food and clothing will never understand why someone would make a roast suckling pig and only eat one bite. This fountain pen is luxurious because it wastes a relic. If you think the price of something is outrageous, then unfortunately, you are not the target customer of this item. Soon, the price of the first fountain pen was constantly raised, and finally 50 gold shields were sold. The second fountain pen was also sold at a good price of 60 gold shields. These 2 fountain pens are estimated to become small collections of a big man. After Rudolph, no one took out anything valuable. After listening to other people's transactions, Rudolph felt that he had no needs, so he signaled the waiter to leave. The waiter took Rudolph to the trading room on the side. A trader sat across the table and said, "Dear Mr. Black Soldier K, the items you sold this time brought you a total of 1,020 gold shields. The Black Gold Exchange will take a 10% commission, which means you can get 918 gold shields. Making money is really fun, but the handling fee is really painful." A stack of banknotes was placed on the table. Rudolph picked it up, counted it, and then put it in his wallet. The trader said, "Mr. Black Soldier K, since your transaction volume has increased a lot tonight, the Black Gold Exchange has specially upgraded your chess piece. Your Black Soldier K will be replaced with Black Soldier J. The higher the level of the chess piece, the more attention the Black Gold Exchange will pay. For example, today, the host gave a more detailed introduction to your item, which will help you get a better price. I hope you can continue to come to the Black Gold Exchange to trade. Whether buying or selling, you can accumulate transaction volume, which will help you upgrade the level of your chess piece. If you upgrade to a big flag above the car, you will enjoy the intelligence service of the Black Gold Exchange." Rudolph handed the Black Soldier K to the trader, and the trader put a new chess piece on the table. "What about the person who had the Black Soldier J before?" "Oh, we have notified him to hand in the chess piece. The chess piece code is not fixed and changes almost every week." Rudolph said, "This transaction ends here. Please ask the waiter to take me away." "As you wish, sir." Rudolph followed the waiter and left the Black Gold Exchange. This time, there were no people from the judiciary and the police station outside. The exit and the entrance are still 2 roads. Rudolph deliberately looked at the entrance of the Black Gold office in his pocket watch and found that the Black Gold guide had disappeared. Perhaps the Black Gold office would be closed once the transaction started, and the guide would be able to take a rest. It is not easy to do such work at such an old age. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 113. The fire in the forest farm was very big, and many people from the surrounding farms saw the fire. The farm owner had obviously heard about the fire in the forest farm. When Rudolph returned here, he found that the farm owner had already arrived. The farm owner looked at the charred forest farm, wiping his tears from time to time, very sad. "Boss, don't be too sad." Rudolph took out his wallet, counted out 300 gold shields from it, and handed it to the farm owner. "This is compensation for you. In order to eliminate those evil gods, there is no way to sacrifice a little bit. You know the evil gods, right? They are the evil gods who hung you up and beat you." Upon hearing this, the farm owner was no longer sad. He thought of those fierce people and immediately asked with concern, Did you eliminate many? How many did you eliminate? More than 20 people. The farm owner reached out and took all the money. Rudolph stared at the stack of money eagerly. He thought that the farm owner would take less money because he had avenged him. However, Rudolph will definitely be disappointed, because after counting the money, the forest owner still hesitated to speak. After coughing, Rudolph said, "This is a little bit of my heart. I know I can't completely make up for your loss, but this is life, isn't it? What should I do if I encounter difficulties? The universal way to deal with it is to say this is life and bear it. Captain Rudolph, you are really amazing. You can defeat so many heretics. You are also a good person, thank you." The forest owner took 300 gold shields and left. The land of the forest farm is still his, and he plans to rebuild the forest farm next year. This winter, he plans to have a good rest. After the forestry boss left, Ivan said, "Captain, after you left, I dealt with 2 more evil god priests, both of whom were insect nest priests. They were going to continue making aphids. However, I don't recognize the relics, so I can only wait for you to come back to deal with them." Rudolph harvested 2 insect nest relics again. After he collected the relics, he said to Ivan, "Ivan, I made a lot of money this time, and you also have a share." After that, Rudolph took out 200 gold shields and handed them to Ivan. This money is almost the same as the money Ivan got from selling her farm. Ivan happily accepted the gold shield. Seeing Ivan's happy look, Rudolph couldn't help asking, "How are you going to spend this money? Do you have any plans? Keep it secret." In the southeast of Lehman town, because of the super high efficiency of Rudolph and Ivan, the evil god priests are no longer seen. The winter plowing of the farm also began in fear. On a farm, Rudolph was watching the farmer turning over the soil. The soil was very clean and there were no bugs, which made the farmer very happy. At this moment, Rudolph heard the sound of a pigeon flapping its wings. This was a carrier pigeon specially trained by the druid, which could help the druid find the person he wanted to contact. Ivan grabbed the carrier pigeon and took a paper roll from its leg. "The sheriff asked us to go to a place where witch hunters and a large army blocked the large army of the goddess of harvest." "Okay, then let's go slowly. It's best if we go there after they have finished fighting, so that we can avoid the danger of being exposed if we can't go up." The 2 of them rode on horses and rushed to the place the sheriff said, but the speed was not very fast, and they stopped and walked. Sheriff Claude's letter only gave a general direction, and it would take a little time to identify the specific location. Just as Rudolph was thinking about how to find the exact location mentioned in the sheriff's letter, he found that his worries were unnecessary. In the mountains and forests, many witch hunters in black robes were in action. Rudolph didn't expect that he would see so many witch hunters. The witch hunters were corrupted by the high priest, which angered the Inquisition. The Fabreau City Inquisition directly sent more than 50 witch hunters. These witch hunters have overwhelming power. Together with Sheriff Claude, they are chasing the high priest. Seeing Rudolph standing still, staring at the pet pocket watch in his hand, Ivan asked, "Captain, aren't we going to help?" Rudolph shook his head, "Too dangerous. What can a level 3 evil worm do?" In front of the truly angry Inquisition, the level 3 evil worm is not enough. 2 airships are flying in the sky, and someone on the airship is waving flags to report the direction of the evil god priest to the ground. The weapons on the airship are also astonishing. If Rudolph is not mistaken, there are 2 heavy machine guns similar to the Maxim machine gun on each airship. If attacking from the air, the heavy machine gun has no cover and can produce very terrifying output. The bullets of the heavy machine gun are much more powerful than those of Rudolph's revolver. In addition, the heavy machine gun must have the bonus of the alchemist, which is not something that ordinary apostles can resist. Under the control of the alchemist, The airship also has good flexibility. Rudolph saw a turbofan behind the airship, which provides power for the airship. This is just the Air Force, and the witch hunters on the ground are also powerful. Rudolph even saw a burst rifle, which is not a revolver that is circulated on the market. It is a military firearm of the Alchemy Council. In addition to the witch hunters in black robes, Rudolph also saw more than 200 gendarmes. The gendarmes are also the most important army in the kingdom besides the noble cavalry, and are directly under the Alchemy Council. The witch hunters and gendarmes are hunting the evil god priests with burst rifles and grenades as their main weapons. What surprised Rudolph was that the Wayne he knew was actually the commander of these people. It seems that Wayne's commanding ability is stronger than his combat ability. Wayne is coordinating and dispatching so many witch hunters. After only looking at it for a short time, Rudolph didn't dare to look any further. He was afraid that someone, like Kevin, would be able to tell that his spiritual pet was different from a normal sparrow. If you only use your eyes and telescope, you can't see clearly the fighting situation over there. The evil god priests were retreating steadily, hardly forming any decent resistance. The tribunal is one of the most powerful violent institutions under the sun. Heretic apostles can only do things secretly. If the tribunal is really angered, the tribunal will launch a thunderous offensive. No apostle can resist such firepower. This is because the city judicial office has limited funds. If it is a county judicial office, there will be more heavy weapons, as well as level 4 or even level 5 alchemy weapons. Even black gold exchanges must operate in secret and can never conduct transactions openly. Ivan, let's stay away. It will be bad for us if it collapses. Rudolph and Ivan retreated into the distance. Standing in the distance, Rudolph looked at the airships with his binoculars. The airships were constantly spitting out tongues of fire and were launching attacks unscrupulously. There was a rustling sound in the forest, and someone was approaching Rudolph. Rudolph looked in the direction of the sound. The person lowered his hood and it was Kevin, who looked like a ghost. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 114. It's spectacular, isn't it? Kevin didn't have a telescope, and his eyes were fixed on the airship in the distance. This is not the full power of the tribunal. It's terrible when the Alchemy Council decides to start a war. In the tribunal, we all have to learn military science, command science, cartography and other subjects. When the Alchemy Council decides to start a war, we will all become officers of the military police. Captain Wayne, whom you know, is not a mid-level witch hunter because of his high combat effectiveness, but because of his excellent command ability. Tens of thousands of soldiers are organized, holding rifles and fighting according to tactics. That's when our tribunal is the most powerful. Rudolph put down the telescope. Correct a word. You can't use the word we between you and the tribunal. Yes, you are more qualified to contact the tribunal than me now. Kevin's voice was full of loss. Rudolph looked at Kevin. Let's not talk about anything else. How did you find me again? This makes me feel insecure. This matter is very serious. Rudolph doesn't want to be found at any time, especially by Kevin, who has just fallen into the cursed word spirit. Don't worry, I just know that you like to use sparrows during the day and owls at night. I was just trying my luck and found 5 groups of sparrows before I found the sparrow you controlled. What do you want to do? Kevin stared into the distance. I want to bury Ichabod. Bury? Yes, Ichabod, should not be controlled by Jessica, should not become a 4-blade mantis. Tell me, what do you want me to do, but if you explain it in advance, I may not agree. Kevin said, I want you to help me make a magic weapon. You are slander, I'm not a wizard. Haha, Kevin chuckled. It's up to you, if you say I'm not a wizard, then I'm not a wizard. Come on, follow me, I can give you a relic. The level 2 pupa of the High Priest. We witch hunters have some knowledge of wizards. I know that the level 2 pupa can make the level 2 witch weapon metamorphosis pupa. You get the witch weapon, and Ichabod is restored to his original state in the witch weapon metamorphosis pupa. This is the content of our deal. Rudolph thought about it. Kevin should not lie, this is his true intention, it's worth taking a risk, why not give it a try? In the distance, there was a continuous sound of grenades, which made people feel palpitations. Rudolph and Yvonne followed Kevin through the forest. The branches of the bushes hit people, which made people very uncomfortable. After walking for a long time, they bypassed the entire mountain and the main battlefield. They came to the other side of the mountain, which was far away from the battlefield, and even the sound of gunfire became weak. Kevin found a cave and waited at the entrance. Rudolph didn't know why he had to wait at the entrance of the cave. It was far away from the main battlefield. Can you predict Jessica? Didn't she use a metamorphosis pupa, which is completely different from before? Kevin stared at the entrance of the cave dully. I used many methods to predict that I can wait for Jessica here. What are the many methods? I can only tell you that the stars guide me. This is my destiny. It seems that Kevin is not going to explain anything. Kevin asked again, what is your strongest magic weapon or witchcraft now? Rudolph replied, witchcraft is impossible to be witchcraft, but if you ask me about my strongest ability is the subsequent damage caused by poisonous smoke. Making poisonous smoke is too slow, is there any other way? Not slow, I still have a bottle of special kerosene. As long as the bottle is broken, I can instantly make poisonous smoke. Then give me the kerosene bottle. They waited quietly until a faint sound came from the cave. There were chaotic footsteps, and soon, two figures appeared in the cave. A bald man stumbled out. Behind him, there was a four-bladed mantis. From the face of the four-bladed mantis, the shadow of Ichabod could still be vaguely seen. Kevin walked out from the hidden place just like that. The bald man looked at Kevin, somewhat unbelievable, how could you predict where I am? Kevin did not answer, he just stared at the bald man in front of him, trying to see the shadow of Jessica on this man's face. However, he was destined to be disappointed, there was no shadow of Jessica on the face of this bald man. The bald man looked serious. The priests of the insect nest have always used metamorphosis pupae to avoid being hunted down. According to the records of the sect, there has never been a failure. Tell me, Kevin, how did you predict me? Word spirits have a useless divination technique. If the time of death is approaching, they can predict when and where they will die. This technique is called death divination. This is my destiny, Jessica. The bald man's expression changed, and after a long time he said, I will let you go, and you will let me go. We will never meet again, okay, Kevin. The bald man was not in good condition, with several shrapnel scars on his body. If he hadn't grabbed the shoulders of the four-bladed mantis, he could fall down at any time. The four-bladed mantis looked even more miserable. There were 4 mantis blades, but now only one was left. I can let you go, and you can let me go. But Ichabod is dead. Kevin raised his hand, Jessica. Ichabod, he is dead. Kevin suddenly accelerated and rushed towards the bald man. The terrain at the entrance of the cave is narrow, and it is also because the bald man was not prepared to dodge. Ichabod, with only one mantis arm left, suddenly appeared in front of the bald man. The only mantis arm pierced Kevin's heart, but at the last moment, the mantis arm changed direction and only pierced Kevin's abdomen. When the mantis arm pierced Kevin, it also pierced the kerosene bottle that Kevin placed on his abdomen. What are you doing? Kevin. Do you want to die? The bald man stepped out from Ichabod's side, seeming a little anxious. His abdomen was pierced, but Kevin didn't feel any pain at all. he just smiled at the bald man. Just when the bald man was more confused, he suddenly saw the flames. The kerosene bottle suddenly caught fire, and the flame was that weird purple. The purple flame burned in Kevin's abdomen and on the mantis blade. The bald man immediately smelled the pungent smoke, which was the smell of Kevin's clothes and the smell of Kevin's skin and flesh burning. The bald man didn't dare to pull out the mantis blade immediately. The mantis blade was full of serrations. Once pulled out, it would definitely cause Kevin to have terrible lacerations in his abdomen, causing greater harm to Kevin. Why, Kevin, why do you have to do this? Why do you want to die? The purple flames made Kevin's face purple. This is my fate, fate is irresistible, just like the stars always move according to the trajectory. The bald man said with compassion. Kevin, I have many identities, Jessica is just an insignificant one. Black Queen, Jessica, the current chief priest, anything is fine. When I was a woman, I found many men, and when I was a man, I also found many women. Kevin, you are not the special one. Sure enough, Black Queen is also you. But it doesn't matter. Kevin looked at the poisonous smoke filling the surroundings, his expression calm. Jessica is just an insignificant identity to you, but to me, it is my important memory. I don't know whether I like you or that memory. Kevin raised his hand and stroked the bald man's face, just like stroking Jessica. The bald man did not dodge, allowing Kevin to stroke his chin. Until the next moment, the bald man's expression suddenly changed, and purple flames appeared in his ears, nostrils, mouth, eyes, and every pore. Although he was in a great advantage, Rudolph was sweating. His poison entered the bald man's body, but he didn't find the queen insect. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 115. Even though the bald man was already emitting a purple flame that could devour people, Kevin's expression did not relax. He ignored the pain and suddenly withdrew from Ichabod's mantis blade. The mantis blade had jagged teeth that cut Kevin's abdomen horribly. Just a short in and out, the wound around Kevin's abdomen was torn into pieces, and his intestines were brought out. I don't know what pain relief Kevin has, he seems to be completely unaware of his injuries. Some purple poisonous fire still stuck to Kevin's feet, setting his shoes and pants on fire. Kevin ignored the burning of the purple poisonous fire, raised his foot, and kicked the bald man away. Kevin was unaware of the purple fire, staring at the ground, and a small hole appeared under the bald man's feet. After taking out an alchemical grenade, Kevin stuffed the grenade into the hole. Not only that, he also took out a device similar to a gas tank and held the hole tightly. The compressed gas in the cylinder suddenly sprayed into the cave, pressing the grenade deeper into the ground. Not long after, Rudolph heard a muffled sound and the ground under his feet shook. Kevin threw away the first gas tank, took out the second gas tank from his bag, and also took out the second grenade. Using the same method, Kevin pushed the grenade into the depths of the cave with high-pressure gas. One after another, until 5 grenades, the whole ground was turned up. Kevin rushed to the turned-up soil and searched frantically in it. His nails soon turned purple due to excessive force. Blood seeped out of his nails, stained with mud, and turned into an ugly black and red color. But Kevin didn't notice it at all, just kept searching for something. Rudolph was about to step forward to help, but before he could stand out from the bushes that were covering him, he saw Kevin suddenly raise his hands, holding the green queen worm. "Ha ha! I found you," Kevin was like crazy, "Jessica. I found you, this is the real you." Kevin took out an alchemical dagger from his bag. Rudolph ran forward and pulled out his gun, "Behind! Be careful behind you!" Kevin couldn't hear what Rudolph was shouting at all. He only had eyes for Jessica's queen worm, which was the organ that Jessica used to make beetles, and was also the most important center for her as a priest of the hive. The blade of the alchemical dagger flashed a bronze light in the sun. Kevin used all his strength and inserted the alchemical dagger into the back of the queen worm. The queen worm was a green caterpillar with a very soft body. Because he used too much force, the alchemical dagger even pierced his palm. A burning sound came from the air, which was the alchemical dagger burning the fragile internal organs of the queen worm. Green juice flowed from Kevin's fingers, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly, then widened, and then left. "Jessica! You're dead too." Rudolph began to shoot in Kevin's direction. Kevin heard the gunshot, but he didn't react at all. He just stared at the pierced insect in his hand. This was Jessica, the Jessica who spent many nights with him. Rudolph's bullet passed Kevin and shot at the four-blade mantis behind Kevin. But it was too late. Rudolph's bullet hit the four-blade mantis, but was bounced off by the hard armor of the level 3 evil insect. His bullet was like hitting a steel plate, and the bullet had no effect on the level 3 evil insect. Just like Sheriff Claude said, he couldn't always rely on the alchemist's weapons, and he had to form his own ability system. The level 3 mantis, with only one mantis blade left, stabbed forward and pierced Kevin's heart. The four-blade mantis was pressed against Kevin's back, and from its mouthparts came a hoarse sound that was not human. "Kevin, if you didn't stab me, if you didn't really want to kill me, I wouldn't kill you. The queen of insects in your hand is not my queen of insects, but just one of my means of saving my life." Rudolph's scalp was numb. All of Kevin's plans were wrong. The bald man was not Jessica, and the queen of insects just captured was not Jessica. The four-blade mantis transformed by Ichabod was Jessica. Jessica, who dared to provoke the witch hunter, had enough means of saving her life. Although this four-blade mantis was extremely miserable and its body was broken by the witch hunter's firepower, it was still alive. The inner wall of the mantis blade was full of serrations, which had already crushed Kevin's heart. The body of the word spirit is just that of an ordinary person. The reason why Kevin could hold on until now was, first, the secret anesthetic that made him fearless of pain, and second, a breath. This breath of air supported him to not fall down after his stomach was cut open. But now everything is over. Kevin, whose heart was pierced, no longer has any ability to move. Rudolph's bullets hit the four-blade mantis continuously, but they could not break through the defense at all. He turned his head to look at Yvonne, signaling her to escape together. Even if the four-blade mantis was seriously injured, Rudolph did not want to fight it head-on. He could not feel any toxins in the body of the four-blade mantis. The four-blade mantis did not inhale the poisonous smoke produced by the kerosene bottle just now. Maybe the respiratory system of the four-blade mantis is different from what Rudolph understands. Therefore, Rudolph has no good solution now. Just as Rudolph was about to turn around, he saw Kevin's head turn to him, mumbling something. "Barry, Ichabod." It might be these words, but what's the use? I don't know what trick Kevin learned from Ichabod, but two level 3 alchemical grenades suddenly appeared in Kevin's hand. The grenade pull ring has been pulled open, and the two grenades fell to his feet. Finally, a crystal ball appeared in Kevin's hand. The two grenades exploded. In the violent explosion, Kevin and the four-blade mantis were engulfed in smoke and dust. Rudolph ran away and looked back. Rudolph didn't believe that two grenades could kill the four-blade mantis. Even if he rushed forward regardless of the consequences, his current means could not break the four-blade mantis's insect armor. Jessica's means were more than enough to deal with Rudolph. Among the level 2 apostles, Jessica was also a leader, not to mention that Jessica also had some abilities that only level 3 apostles had, such as the level 3 evil insect four-blade mantis. In the thick smoke, Rudolph suddenly saw a ball flying over. It was a crystal ball. The sunlight refracted a colorful halo through the crystal ball. Rudolph reached out and caught the crystal ball. The crystal ball turned out to be Kevin's relic, and the relic disappeared in Rudolph's palm. Kevin's divination of death was very accurate, and he did die here, at this time. At the same time, Rudolph also learned a piece of information. Kevin's crystal ball, I don't know what method was used, and a divination technique was permanently fixed. The effect of the divination technique is that it can divination Ichabod's location. This is also the reason why Kevin can find the Black Queen. He did not divination the Black Queen, but Ichabod. Kevin said he would give Rudolph a relic, but he didn't expect it to be his own relic. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 116. Rudolph didn't even have time to look at the options in the floating star, he just ran away in the forest. From the spiritual pet pocket watch, Rudolph saw that in the dust after the explosion, Kevin had been broken into pieces, but the four-blade mantis, the Black Queen, was still standing. Black Queen, Jessica, Rudolph didn't know what to call her. This woman who could get the first 4 chess pieces in the black gold place might be a woman, at least that's what Kevin thought. Although she was shaking, the Black Queen was indeed still alive. There were a lot of shrapnel on her body, but they were unable to kill the Black Queen. Hiding yourself inside a four-blade mantis is a great idea. The Black Queen has not yet taken out the insect hive scepter. Rudolph does not think that he and Ivan are the Black Queen's opponents. The Black Queen is someone who can communicate with the evil god's insect hive. After the thick smoke passed, although the Black Queen was weak, her eyes followed Rudolph. A shiver ran down Rudolph's spine, it was too bad to be targeted by a hacker. Run to the witch hunter. At this time, the witch hunters are cuter than the Black Queen. After running for a while, the Black Queen moved. Rudolph breathed a sigh of relief, and the Black Queen ran away into the distance and did not pursue the witch hunter. He slowed down his pace so that the Black Queen would not chase him. When Rudolph and Ivan arrived at the main battlefield, they saw that the battle was over. Patrolman Sam of the police station was responsible for transporting equipment and ammunition on the periphery, so he was the first to discover Rudolph and Ivan. "Captain, you're late." Sam looked very excited. "I'll tell the chief that you're here." "Oh, that's not necessary. The battle is over anyway, so we can just leave it alone," Rudolph said. "Sam, can you tell us what happened?" "Oh, Captain, it's such a pity that you guys couldn't participate in this operation. Last night, a witch hunter, said to be the middle witch hunter of the trial department, came to find the sheriff. The median witch hunter said that the Inquisition was furious at the witch hunters' descent into heresy. The judicial office sent a large number of forces. The first step is to eliminate the high priests unknown to the fallen witch hunter Kevin. Second, take Kevin back. We followed the sheriff to participate in the operation. How should I say this operation? We followed the witch hunter to listen to the explosion. The sheriff said that the judicial office can use semi-automatic production lines to manufacture alchemical weapons in large quantities. Guns and ammunition can be mass-produced. Today's main force is various alchemical firearms. The ones flying in the sky are those 2 airships. Sam pointed to the sky for Rudolph. Those 2 airships have heavy machine guns that can shoot at those evil god priests. On the ground are witch hunter commandos. Their weapons are semi-automatic rifles, which are much more powerful than our guns. There are also grenades, level 3 alchemical grenades, and level 2 grenades. They are all free of charge. Every witch hunter wears a lot of them. Although there were many evil priests, more than 50 of them, in the face of such firepower, they didn't even have a chance to resist, and they were quickly breached head-on. Those level 3 evil insects were almost immediately targeted by the Judgment Office and were beaten to pieces. The police chief said that the artillery was still not used. If the Judgment Bureau also brought the artillery, it would make the mountain a few meters shorter. Are all the evil priests dead? Sam was very sure, they are all dead, and the appearance of death is quite tragic. Rudolph nodded. This is why the tribunal needs to add some heretic apostles. If they are alchemists alone, they have extremely powerful firepower, but they cannot cope with the strange abilities of many heretical apostles. After the airship landed, Rudolph made a special trip to see the airship. Oak hull, steam engine-driven turbofan. A witch hunter saw that Rudolph was very interested in airships. He pointed to the ellipsoidal airbag of the airship and said, "Patrol officer, don't look at the machine gun yet. This airbag is the most technological. It contains helium that the trial office has spent a lot of effort to make. Do you know what helium is? You know, gases that are lighter than air. Not bad, young man. Look at this airbag. It is made of special alchemical steel wire. It is light in weight and high in strength." Rudolph nodded frequently, and his understanding of the trial office increased a bit. There are many smart people in the tribunal, and they have been studying weapons. As for the 2 heavy machine guns on the airship, Rudolph thought it was nothing. Anyway, he would die if he encountered them. He couldn't hide from them, so there was no need to understand them. After the operation, Rudolph met with the sheriff. The police chief looked relaxed. "Rudolph, we can finally be quiet this winter." "Yes, at least winter farming can be done normally." "Sheriff, has the body of the chief priest been found?" "Not found. In other words, I'm not sure if the chief priest is among the people killed." "Not found? Why are you so happy that you didn't find the sheriff?" "Because they haven't been found, the witch hunters have to work overtime. Let them have a headache." After returning to the town, Rudolph was able to study his gains. The level 2 relic divination crystal ball has long since disappeared. On the star map in Rudolph's mind, Scorpio 11/14, the star New Scorpio was lit. On the horizon of the star map, there are already 3 floating stars. Level 2 divination crystal, level 2 danger intuition paint, level 2 curse of Hades. They are all good things. Divination crystals are very magical and can directly obtain the results of problems. Kevin is a level 2 word spirit. When he does divination, he must have the corresponding voucher item. This is voucher divination. Rudolph feels that this magic weapon is not flexible enough. If he wants to get any result, he needs to collect evidence. Pluto's curse is a fatal curse. Like voucher divination, it also requires the cursed person's items, at least items containing biological information, such as hair, blood, etc. The advantage is that it is difficult to prevent, and the disadvantage is the same, not flexible enough, and there is a certain price. Level 2 dangerous intuition paint is also a smear-type magic weapon. When others lock you, you will get a stinging prompt. This effect is also very good. After hesitating again and again, Rudolph still chose the dangerous intuition paint. Only this can help him save his life. Only with life can he have everything. There are still many witch hunters in the town. Rudolph came outside the town to complete this spell. After drawing the astrological triangle on the ground, Rudolph scraped a lot of divination crystal ball powder in the circle on the left. He used a dagger to cut open his forehead, collected some blood, and put the blood in a small dish in the circle on the right. The witchcraft used in this status witchcraft is Scorpio witchcraft malice. When others have malice towards you and have turned the malice into substantial actions, the dangerous intuition coding can give a hint to the owner of the witchcraft. The Scorpio witchcraft fell, passed through Rudolph's body, and merged into the starstone powder. The starstone powder wrapped with crystal ball powder and the blood on Rudolph's forehead gathered at the top of the astrological triangle. After the production was completed, Rudolph came to his new witchcraft. There was only a little bit of crystal powder left in the dish, and there was a trace of pink in the powder, like the powder of pink diamonds. While the wound on Rudolph's forehead had not healed completely, Rudolph smeared the powder on his forehead. This level 2 dangerous intuition coating was done late. There was only a very shallow wound on his forehead, and you couldn't see anything without looking carefully. Rudolph tried to let the owl grab a stone and throw it at him from a high altitude. When the owl aimed at Rudolph in the air, Rudolph felt a sharp pain between his eyebrows. He also quickly realized the source of the danger and dodged the stone in advance. It was a good magic weapon. Rudolph liked this feeling of being a little safer. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 117. It was a rare quiet afternoon. The sun shone on Rudolph's closed eyelids, leaving him a warm red color. He was falling asleep in the chair at the police station. The Judicial Bureau came to clean up holes in the court, which greatly reduced the pressure on the police station and ushered in a long-lost afternoon with nothing to do. Kelita walked into the office with her leather shoes and put a letter on the table. Rudolph, your letter. Rudolph opened his eyes. The sunlight was a little dazzling, but very warm. He picked up the envelope, a little strange, wondering who was writing to him. A closer look revealed that the letter was sent from the city of Fabreau. The letter was an invitation. Dear Patrolman Rudolph. On the afternoon of November 9th, I will be waiting for you at Havika Cafe in Lehmantown. Your friends. Rudolph looked over the letter and found that there was no other information. There is no beginning or end, and I don't know what the person who wrote the letter is going to do. He looked up at the date on the wall. Isn't today the 9th? He had just slept for a while, and now his mouth felt a little bitter. Rudolph thought it would be good to have a cup of coffee. He picked up his cane, put on his hat, and went out. Since Rudolph got the pain cane, he rarely wears his police uniform because it doesn't go well with a gentleman's cane. Rudolph now wears a suit most of the time so that no one will think his cane looks weird. Of course, when he needs to handle a case, Rudolph will wear a police badge on his chest, which can also prove his identity. Soon, Rudolph arrived at the Havka Cafe. This is a small cafe with only 7 or 8 tables. Most of the shops in Lehmantown are not big and there are not that many people consuming them. There is a piano in the cafe. The owner of the cafe has never asked anyone to play the piano. It is just an expensive decoration. Rudolph opened his pocket watch and looked around as usual. Everything around the cafe was normal. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there were not many people in the cafe. Rudolph looked around and soon spotted a person, a woman. The sleepiness disappeared instantly, and his heart suddenly tightened. Rudolph was quite certain that this woman was the one who had written to him. The woman smiled at Rudolph and motioned for Rudolph to come over. Rudolph first glanced at the other customers in the cafe. 2 tables, 5 people. If he ran now, maybe the woman would take action now. After pausing in place for a few seconds, Rudolph walked forward. The woman continued to stir the coffee cup in front of her. The thick coffee swirled and steam erupted. The heat slowly dissipates like white smoke in the sun. Surrounded by the murmurs of people at other tables, it all seemed like a normal afternoon. But Rudolph was nervous and just forced himself to sit in front of this woman. What should I call you now? Rudolph didn't let go of his cane even though he was sitting. MS Black Queen? MS Jessica? Or do you have another name now? For some reason, the Black Queen's new body looked a bit like Jessica's, which was why Rudolph recognized her at first sight. It's just that this time the Black Queen is not wearing large black rimmed glasses, but a pair of exquisite rimless glasses. It doesn't matter, because I often don't know who I am. Waiter. Give this gentleman a cup of coffee. The young waiter, who didn't know the truth, came over and handed Rudolph an exquisite coffee order. Rudolph looked at the coffee order while thinking about how to call for support. Black coffee, no sugar added, thank you. After the waiter left, Rudolph continued to look at the Black Queen. So, MS Black Queen, what do you want to see me for? Seeing that the Black Queen didn't speak, Rudolph had no choice but to continue. I admit that I fired at you a few times before. But that was all because I didn't understand you. I admit that it was my fault. I was too reckless at the time. I apologize to you here. He Hao didn't speak. She just tilted her head and looked at the glass on the side. She didn't know whether she was looking at the street with not many people outside the glass, or looking at her own reflection. The waiter put down the coffee for Rudolph, and Rudolph picked it up and took a sip. It tastes really bad. I wish I had added sugar. Rudolph could only pick up the coffee and cover up his confusion. The Dark Queen turned her head and Rudolph immediately put down the coffee. He already held a special smoke bomb in his hand under the table. If he wanted to, he could soon detonate his modified smoke bomb to create poisonous smoke in the cafe. Patrol Rudolph, I'm looking for you to get something back. I hope you can agree. What? Kevin's legacy. The Black Queen stared at Rudolph. She had already decided that no matter what method she used, she must get Kevin's relics. Even if there is a fight in the town, he will not hesitate. Her eyes were fixed on Rudolph, ready to respond to Rudolph's next move at any time. Rudolph quickly reached into his arms. The Black Queen frowned. She was thinking about which method to use to defeat the patrolman in front of her in a short time. In her hand, the hive scepter appeared. Rudolph felt a slight pain between his brows, and the dangerous intuition pain told him that he had been targeted by some attack method. He quickly explained, "Don't misunderstand. I am getting Kevin's relics for you." Rudolph decisively took out a crystal ball, a crystal clear ball. He quickly handed over the crystal ball and placed it in the small saucer in front of Queen Black. The crystal ball rolled in the dish, making a pleasant hum. The Black Queen lowered her head, and the frameless lens and the crystal ball were somewhat similar at this time, both flashing in the sun. The Black Queen was a little unbelievable, and many of the backup plans she had prepared were no longer necessary. "Ms. Black Queen, this is Kevin's relic. Since you want to take his relic as Kevin's widow, I will return it to you. Of course, you can see that I always put valuable items together. The crystal ball was scratched by the key and has some small flaws. I think this relic will not affect it from being a souvenir left by Kevin for you." Hearing the word widow, the Black Queen trembled for a moment. Rudolph raised his cane and continued. "Ms. Black Queen, is there anything else? The police station is a little busy today, so I will leave first if there is nothing else. Goodbye, Ms. Black Queen." Rudolph had already raised his butt from the chair, but heard laughter. The Black Queen on the opposite side laughed, and then said, "Wait, Patrolman Rudolph, I had no ill intentions before, and I have no ill intentions now. Please sit down, I have something to ask you." Rudolph had to sit down again. A real man walks between heaven and earth, and he can bend and bend even more. He should bow his head when he should bow his head, and obey when he should obey. Hesitating for half a second is disrespectful to his own life. "Does Kevin have anything to ask you? I want to hear it." Rudolph secretly thought it was ridiculous. This Black Queen was really into the role. She really thought he was Kevin's widow. "Oh, Kevin asked me to help bury Ichabod. I don't think it's necessary. I'll build a tomb for Ichabod someday and bury a few grenades in it. I think it's good." The Black Queen on the opposite side stared at the crystal ball in the small dish with a low look in her eyes. "It's really about Ichabod." Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 118. After a long silence, the Black Queen raised her head. There was a thin layer of mist in her eyes, and she looked really sad. "You should fulfill Kevin's last wish." The Black Queen's tone was like Kevin's accusation, which disappointed her. "Look, Ms. Black Queen, you were the one who asked me for Kevin's relics, and now it's you who wants me to fulfill Kevin's last wish. Kevin's crystal ball has a divination spell fixed in it that can divine Ichabod's location. Without Kevin's relic, I don't even know where Ichabod is. How can I complete Kevin's relic? So, the reason why I can't fulfill Kevin's last wish is entirely because you took away his belongings. You should resist with all your might, protect Kevin's relics, and prevent me from taking away his relics. Whether I can protect Kevin's relics by risking my life, I'm not sure, but I might really risk myself to death, Rudolph said. I can see that this is your family's family matter. It's up to you to resolve your matters yourself. I won't interfere. I am an outsider after all. Wait, the Black Queen once again stopped Rudolph, who was about to leave. Let's bury Ichabod and fulfill Kevin's last wish. Rudolph's eyebrows felt slightly painful again, and he said decisively, as you wish, Ms. Black Queen. An hour later, the Black Queen and Rudolph appeared in the cemetery outside the town of Lehman. Old Grey was napping outside the Grava-keeper's hut. When several people entered the cemetery, Old Grey didn't even open his eyes. The Black Queen's 4 followers have dug a big hole. In a carriage, Ichabod came out. He was left with only one arm, but regained his human appearance. The moment the carriage door curtain opened, Rudolph saw a broken insect chrysalis in the carriage. Unexpectedly, the Black Queen gave up a level 3 evil insect for Kevin, and also let Ichabod experience a metamorphosis insect chrysalis. In the past hour, the Dark Queen had done a lot and quickly arranged Ichabod's funeral arrangements. Rudolph was surprised that there were so many low-level priests in the Black Queen. The influence of the evil god's insect nest is so powerful. During this hour, Rudolph had been in the Dark Queen's field of vision, so he didn't make any small moves. Watching Ichabod step off the carriage, the Black Queen always felt that something was strange. She waved her hand and Ichabod lay down on the ground. This was burying Ichabod, and it was inappropriate for Ichabod to move around. 2 servants of the gods carried Ichabod into the grave and began to bury him. Handfuls of earth fell into the pit, covering Ichabod's body and face. Ichabod's features were very strong, but now completely lifeless. The Black Queen looked at the burial of Ichabod and said, "In this way, Kevin's last wish will be fulfilled. I still want to thank you for being willing to give up a level 3 evil insect to fulfill Kevin's last wish. Thinking about it now, it feels like the days when I was with Kevin happened a long, long time ago. I can't recall many details. I don't know why, but we suddenly became life and death enemies. All I remember in those final moments was that Kevin and I wanted to kill each other. Now that Kevin is dead, I miss him terribly." The atmosphere was relatively gloomy, and Rudolph tried to comfort the Black Queen. There is no conflict that cannot be resolved by death. The pain felt again between his eyebrows, and Rudolph felt that he had said the wrong thing. After a while, the black man continued, "Patrol Rudolph, I will return to Fabro City and leave Lehman Town temporarily. Thank you very much for that." The operation in Lehman Town was very successful. We already know that fear alone can absorb the servants of God, but the efficiency is too low and the audience is too narrow. When fear and gift are combined, teachings spread quickly. I was summing up this experience, and the great evil god Hive was already watching me. My behavior made Lord Hive very satisfied. Perhaps in the near future, there will be no evil god insect nest in the world, only the harvest goddess. What's the use of telling me this? I neither believe in the evil god Hive nor the harvest goddess. Rudolph felt a little resentful in his heart. He thought of the crystal ball that was being taken away. There was no such cowardly time traveler left. The 4 servants of God moved very quickly. Ichabod's grave was already out of the ground and was being piled with soil. The Black Queen continued, "You are all to blame for all this. Fabro City did something that affected the balance first. It was Fabro City that crossed the border first, and the werewolf and the evil god had to take action against Fabro City. Everything now is just pressure. If Fabro City is unrepentant, the werewolf and the evil god will have sufficient reason to tear up the agreement with the alchemy lords and launch a real attack on Fabro City." Rudolph frowned, Is Fabro City to blame? Things here seem to be far beyond Rudolph's understanding. He couldn't help but ask, does the Fabro City you are talking about include the owner and waiter of the coffee shop just now? Not included. Including those poor farmers? Not included. Including the beggars begging on the road? Not included. Okay, don't ask. It doesn't even include your police station. Rudolph was very confused. Then, who are you talking about in the city of Fabro? I just want to say that we didn't choose Fabro for nothing. The real truth. Rudolph quickly interrupted her next words, okay, I won't listen, and I don't want to know. Rudolph remembered the first time he showed his true potential, when the Black Queen took Kevin to see the body of an insect high priest. He didn't want to be affected by the Dark Queen in front of him. No matter what the Dark Queen said next, he would not listen. Hey-ho's words don't know whether they are true or not. Rather than being plotted against, he would rather investigate slowly. As for what she just said about Fabro City, werewolves, and evil gods, Rudolph wasn't very concerned. The level of involvement in this matter was very high, and it was not something that a patrol officer in his town could get involved in. Ichabod's tomb is almost complete and even has a simple tombstone. The tombstone reads, Ichabod, Kevin's friend. Can I leave, Lady Black Queen? The Black Queen nodded, my real name, the name I had before joining the Evil God's Insects Hive Church, is Jessica. Next time we meet, I hope you will call me Jessica instead of the Black Queen. The Black Queen only goes to the Golden Institute. It's just a code name. To be honest, I don't want to meet again. Jessica got on the carriage and walked towards Fabro City, away from the town of Lehman. After Rudolph said hello to Old Gray, he also left the cemetery. That night, Jessica waited for a wizard outside the city of Fabro. The wizard held the crystal ball and originally planned to make a witchcraft for the Black Queen, but he quickly returned the crystal ball to the Black Queen. Ms. Black Queen, the power of the apostle in this relic has been used up. This is just an ordinary crystal ball. The wizard walked away, and Jessica looked ugly. A priest asked, Master Priest, are we going to deal with that patrolman? In the end, Jessica just sighed, forget it, I originally planned to keep it as a souvenir. If it can't be used as a witchcraft, then just treat it as a souvenir. The crystal ball was received into Jessica's arms and placed close to her body. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 119. On the full moon of November, Rudolph stood on the outskirts of the square, watching the people in the town revel. This was a day worth revelry. The evil god priests were eliminated, and the werewolves were a little quieter, which made the people in the town feel much better. Although food was still very tight and there were still many beggars on the street, the pressure was much less after all. Mr. Pulley, the red priest who presided over the ceremony, agitated people's emotions and preached the horror of werewolves and evil gods. Butcher, the butcher of the town, was sharpening his butcher knife on the side, preparing to chop up the werewolves. Rudolph looked at the altar, but his thoughts drifted far away. It was November again, and it was Scorpio month again. He had been here for a whole year. This year was a rush, and a lot happened. He became a wizard apprentice inexplicably, and with the help of the star map, he was quickly promoted to a level 1 wizard. There have been cautions and there have been publicity and expansion. From carefully observing the surroundings to being extremely familiar with the town of Lehman. I have never stepped on an ant on purpose. When I saw an old lady lying down, I had the courage to help her up. I work hard and occasionally slack off, but it doesn't affect anything. I have robbed others and been ripped off by others. I have some friends with whom I can chat when I am free. When I am free, I can go to number 1 Paget Street to enjoy myself. Rudolph spent his lunch at number 1 Paget Street today. Sir Jennifer is getting more and more satisfied with him. He has a good mentality and has never felt guilty about anything or been upset about anything. A beggar pulled Rudolph's clothes and pulled him out of his reverie. "Merciful sir, please give me something to eat." Beggars rarely look for single men. Only pairs of men and women are very generous, but this beggar is too hungry. When the beggar saw the man in front of him turn around and reveal the police badge on his chest, he panicked and wanted to run away. This man was a patrolman, and he scared the beggar. Rudolph reached out and grabbed the beggar's shoulder to stop him from running away. He took out a coin worth 2 copper shields and handed it to the beggar. The beggar took the money and ran away without even saying thank you. He was scared. The patrolman didn't like these beggars who destroyed the town's appearance. Rudolph looked at the beggar's bare feet and felt that he must be very cold. It was November now. A burst of whispers sounded. "This blood is so sweet. Fresh blood is like intoxicating wine." It was indeed a quiet night. The actions of the tribunal scared away all potential dangerous elements. There was only one type of whisper in Lehman Town. The apostles who made these whispers were ready to move. Their desire was so strong that they could be heard by the full moon. Rudolph was a little confused. Who on earth could keep making whispers about blood for a whole year? This time there were 2 whispers, which were different from the previous whispers. Blood is always associated with vampires. Is there a new vampire here? Rudolph suddenly remembered something. Yvonne didn't come to the square tonight. He had to take her to spend the transformation period of the full moon night in the second half of the night. I don't know where she went. But not long after, Yvonne came to the square and stood beside Rudolph. Rudolph didn't ask much. In recent days, Yvonne always ran out by herself. After the sacrificial ceremony, Rudolph and Yvonne took 2 dogs that were stuffed to death and prepared to go to the suburbs to deal with them. Since there were more werewolves, the dogs in the town have suffered. The wild dogs have either been stuffed to death or are waiting to be stuffed to death. Even the large domestic dogs are registered by the Red Church and can be requisitioned at any time. After burying the wild dogs, Rudolph and Yvonne came to the suburbs. Rudolph modified the smoke bombs issued by the police station, so he didn't need to bother to get some burning materials to burn out the poisonous smoke. He only needed 1 or 2 smoke bombs to produce a large amount of poisonous smoke in a short time. Under the effect of paralysis, the transformation of the white wolf can be easily controlled. After the white wolf's transformation, there will be a period of coma, and Rudolph's paralysis toxin cannot accurately control the dosage. Rudolph put clothes on Yvonne, who had already completed the transformation, and waited quietly for Yvonne to wake up. This is also the most vulnerable time for Yvonne. After a while, Rudolph asked, "You woke up?" "Ah. How do you know I woke up?" "The breathing is different." The breathing sounds of coma and wake up are very different, so Rudolph immediately heard it. Rudolph said, let's go back." "Then turn around, I want to put on clothes." "Is it necessary?" "Where on your body haven't I seen it?" Yvonne stretched out her foot from the police windbreaker and kicked Rudolph lightly. "I just watched it." "I watch it every month." "Do you still need to hide from me?" Yvonne began to cry under her windbreaker. Rudolph smiled and walked away, no longer teasing Yvonne. After putting on her coat, Yvonne said, let's go back." Rudolph walked towards the police station, but at a fork in the road, Yvonne pulled Rudolph and signaled Rudolph to go in another direction. "Huh? Not going back to the police station? Where are you going?" Yvonne did not answer, but just asked Rudolph to follow her. The direction was getting more and more wrong. This was the road to Paget Street. Rudolph was very familiar with Paget Street now. Soon, Yvonne took Rudolph to Paget Street and stopped outside a house. According to the house number, this is number 15, Paget Street. Yvonne said, "You gave me a lot of money, so I bought this house. I want to have my own home in Lehman." When he heard that it was Ivan who bought it, Rodolfo was very happy. Not bad, Ivan, you should enjoy life when you make money. Why did you choose Paggi Street? It's quite expensive here. It's where the rich people in Lehman live. Ivan said, you always come to Paggi Street, so I bought a house here. You must like Paggi Street very much, right? This. Rodolfo didn't know how to explain. Ivan just grabbed Rodolfo's arm and walked into the house. This is a beautiful two-story brick and stone house with a high sloping roof and white walls. It's not easy to clean such a big house by yourself. I hired a servant, otherwise I can't handle it by myself. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I'll help you. Kelita came to help me. I want to give you a surprise. Unexpectedly, in half a month, Ivan managed a house by herself. Rudolph sat in the living room on the first floor and saw the brand new sofa sets and carpets in the house, which seemed very good. I said you always go out alone recently, it turns out you are here to clean your own house. Ivan did not sit on the sofa like Rudolph, but stood and asked, then why don't you use the pet crystal to observe me? We are friends, there is no danger in Lehman Town, you can go, we should all have our own privacy. Ivan stood at the stairs and said nervously, Rudolph, the second floor is also pretty good, why don't you come up and take a look? Rudolph was stunned, then quickly stood up, then you have to take a look, take a good look. On the big bed in the master bedroom, Rudolph saw Ivan's extreme waist-to-hip ratio again. The waves of her hips were like ripples, passing towards her waist, and finally, because Ivan had no excess fat on her waist, they slowly disappeared. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 120. When he woke up the next day, Rudolph felt that he had stood for too long last night and his legs were a little sore. But Ivan was in high spirits. The wolf girl's physique was still good. The progress was too fast last night, and he didn't have time to visit the layout of the second floor. Is this the room prepared for me? Rudolph saw a men's room with some men's shirts in it. Yes, I thought you would come and stay when you are fine. It's redundant, not needed. Ivan looked at Rudolph in panic, thinking she did something wrong. Rudolph hurriedly patted Ivan's waist, that's not what I meant. I mean, if I come, it would be nice to live in your master bedroom. Oh, then I'll move the things here to the master bedroom. After eating the breakfast prepared by Ivan, Rudolph basked in the sun in the yard. When he came to Paget Street before, Rudolph didn't care about anything, but it was different now. Rudolph looked at the street and felt that it was a little more intimate here. He suddenly remembered something. When he was monitoring the casino owner Xuanhuan before, he noticed a house here. Number 13, Paget Street, that house is next door to the next door. At this time, inside and outside number 13, it was extremely quiet. Ivan also put on her police uniform and prepared to go to the police station. She saw Rudolph standing in the yard, looking at number 13, and came over to explain. I heard that it was the house of Mr. Red Priest Pulley. But the night before yesterday, many unfamiliar faces suddenly came to that house. Unfamiliar faces, then we should pay attention to it. The Red Church is not as low-key as it looks. As far as Rudolph knows, there is a shadow of the Red Church behind the casino in Lehman Town. Rudolph decided to increase the surveillance of number 13, Paget Street in the future. On the way to the police station, a child suddenly rushed to Rudolph. Beggar Zach, the child who helped Rudolph find the painful priest, stretched out his dirty hand and grabbed the corner of Rudolph's clothes. Captain! Please go see Ivan, please. Zach had no acquaintances in Lehman Town. The only person he could find who might help him was the patrol captain in front of him. Zack had helped Rudolph before when he was dealing with broken palm Townsend and Seven Fingers. He had been looking for Rudolph for a long time. Tell me slowly, what happened to Ivan? Ivan is in a coma, and it's strange. Please come and help me take a look. Rudolph and Ivan followed Zack to an alley. On the ground was a broken mattress picked up by beggars. This was an extremely luxurious mattress that was only used when beggars were sick. Ivan was lying on the mattress, covered with several layers of torn sheets or curtains. Rudolph leaned over to observe Ivan and found that her face was pale and her lips were also pale. He reached out and touched Ivan's forehead and found that her body temperature was cold. Zombie teeth told him that Ivan was dead. What happened to her? Zack quickly replied, Ivan was begging on the street yesterday, but she disappeared after the full moon ceremony at night. We looked for her all night, and this morning, we found her outside the casino. Casino? Yes, it was a casino. Rudolph looked at Ivan's face and was a little confused. Why is her face and neck so clean? Unlike Zack and other beggars, Ivan's face was very clean, and it was very obvious that she had deliberately washed it. Zack also found the difference. I don't know, we forgot to pay attention to this. Ivan, come and check Ivan. Ivan knew what Rudolph was worried about, and she asked everyone to turn their backs and check Ivan. Rudolph, Ivan's body is also clean, but she has not been violated. Hearing this judgment, Rudolph was even more confused. See if she has any wounds on her body. Ivan carefully checked, and finally she said, Captain, come and see. Rudolph turned around and looked in the direction Ivan pointed. There were two red dots not far from each other on Ivan's neck. Almost immediately, Rudolph confirmed that these were wounds left by the vampires. Death from excessive blood loss, vampires, missing girls, plus the mumblings that Rudolph heard every month, made Rudolph have some guesses. Ivan looked at Rudolph and shook her head gently. She was also sure that Ivan was dead. Rudolph left 150 copper shields for Zack. Go to the coffin shop, buy a coffin, and bury Ivan. After getting the copper shield, Zack still hadn't reacted. What? Rudolph sighed, Ivan is gone. Isn't her body temperature a little low? Rudolph didn't know how to explain it. Maybe her body temperature was a little low at first, but after a long period of shock, Ivan was dead. In this remote alley, a beggar, but clean, died of excessive blood loss. Rudolph and Ivan left the alley, with the beggars crying behind them. Ivan, you'd better not get involved in what's next. You might run into vampires. I'm afraid you'll be irritated by them like the bats in the castle. Ivan nodded and could only agree. The desire from her blood made Ivan lose her mind easily after seeing the vampires, just like a full moon night, leaving only the instinct to attack. Rudolph walked towards the casino in casino. The gamblers who stayed up all night had already left exhausted, and there were no customers in the casino in the morning. After Rudolph entered the casino, he just sat at a table near the door. The air here is fresher, and the smell of alcohol, tobacco, and sweat makes the casino stinky. Soon, Xuanhuan came out of the casino. Captain Rudolph, you came to the casino so early, is there something wrong? A beggar and a little girl died here yesterday. Dead? Impossible. The casino is a place to make money, not a place for fighting and killing. It is true that there was a guest with a little girl yesterday, but the little girl did not look like a beggar, she was white and clean. Moreover, she was not dead. When I found her, she was just unconscious. Later, she was taken away by other beggars. Where is the guest with the little girl? I don't know him, Captain Rudolph, I really don't know him. He gambled for a while and took the little girl to the guest room. Sometimes guests play very late, and we also provide accommodation and bathing. I really don't know anything else. Rudolph knew that Xuanhuan did not tell the truth, and his expression was already very cold. I don't know anything. Cassino hurriedly continued to explain, Captain, it's just a beggar, it's not serious if he dies, right? Rudolph nodded, it's really just a beggar, and that beggar is a beggar from outside. Cassino breathed a sigh of relief, it's good that it's not serious, but Rudolph's next sentence made Cassino's scalp numb. It's nothing more than a life for a life, that's all. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 121. In the afternoon, a group of people appeared in the cemetery in Lehman Town. Zack and his dozen or so fellow beggars, Rudolph and Ivan. In front of them, there was a small tomb, and inside the tomb was a small coffin. In the coffin is the dead Yufang. Even when Townsend Halfhand controlled them, Townsend knew it was better not to kill Beggar, but Townsend was gone, but Beggar appeared dead. Handfuls of earth were filled in, and soon the small tomb was filled. None of the beggars could write, so Ivan wrote Ivan's name on a small wooden sign. At the same time, in the basement of the Red Church in Lehman Town, an aide named Reiner was preaching something to several aides around him. Aren't you worried? The blood we drink is the blood collected by Mr. Pooley's bloodletting treatment. We all know that once blood is stored for a long time, it will coagulate and deteriorate. In order to preserve the blood, Mr. Pooley added a lot of anticoagulant additives and various preservatives to the blood. This is too scary. Are we still drinking blood? That is pure technology and ruthless work. I don't know why I was assigned here by the Red Church in Fabreau City. Do you know? When I was interning at the Red Church in Fabreau City, all I drank was fresh blood without additives. Only by sucking blood directly from Shweshi's neck can you drink original and safe blood. The deacon Vanya looked at Reiner with a complicated expression. Reiner was the deacon who had just been sent to Lehman Town. Although everyone is an acolyte, Reiner came to the town's Red Church to be gilded and will soon be transferred back to the city's Red Church. The tall and thin Vanya said, Mr. Pulley won't let us attack blood food. All members of the Red Church must abide by the laws set by the Alchemy Council once they leave the church. The so-called blood food refers to ordinary people. Vanya has been in Lehman Town for decades and has never dared to do anything to ordinary people. Reiner was shocked. What are we? We are vampires, vampires. We are members of the distinguished Rievno family. Still obey the law. Why don't you go to the street and help the old lady cross the road? You guys, look at how thin all of you are. This is all malnutrition, severe malnutrition. Drinking blood mixed with anticoagulants every day makes all my hair fall out. The other deacons in the church looked at me and I looked at you, and they felt a little anxious in their hearts. Reiner continued. I know that Mr. Pulley has requirements for the church. Mr. Pulley said that the people of Lehman Town cannot be harmed. Isn't it enough that we occasionally inhale those who pass by, outsiders? Reiner lowered his voice and said quietly. I found a little beggar yesterday. I found out everything. Casino said that these beggars come from other places. As long as you don't suck them to death, nothing will happen. There was an expression of eagerness on Vanya's face. He had never drunk fresh blood, but after a moment, he said again. But beggars are generally in poor health, and they can easily die if they take a breath. Moreover, we not only suck blood, but also inject decomposers to break down the white blood cells in the blood and absorb only the red blood cells. What if the decomposer kills the beggar? There is nothing we can do about it. Who made us a vampire? Just like when a mosquito bites a person, it not only sucks blood but also leaves behind toxins. We suck blood and also inject some decomposing agents. Be cautious in everything. As long as you are careful, you can do anything. Facing Reiner's statement, the other deacon's eyes turned red. They were really red. The pupils of vampires are originally red. Vanya reminded others. Reiner, who doesn't know that fresh blood is so sweet, but we still dare not break the rules. The sixth commandment of the vampire clan: guests are treated with respect. Vampires must respect other people's territorial rights in exchange for other people's respect for their own territorial rights. We are not the owners here. Fabreau City and Lehman Town all belong to the Alchemy Council. We should not do anything extraordinary with blood food. Look at your courage. Blood food is blood food. Ordinary people are blood food. They are blood bags that can walk on two legs. There is nothing to worry about. I'm going to find another blood food tonight, wash it clean, and let me have a full meal. The main hall of the Red Church is a prayer room with no windows and only dim lights. Most of the time, Mr. Pooley and the deacons sat quietly on the chairs in the prayer room. They closed their eyes and fell asleep. Vampires are born immortals, and even the lowest-end blood servants have a lifespan of 150 years. But immortality also has disadvantages, that is, the quality of vampire immortality is not very good, it cannot be exposed to direct sunlight, and it can only be active at night. Therefore, during the day, they are mostly in a state of sleep. The promotion of a vampire requires sleeping in the ancient coffin of the vampire castle. Sometimes, a vampire will sleep for more than 10 years or even decades. However, there was some restlessness in the prayer room today. Mr. Pooley was sleeping peacefully in front, without any movement. However, the other deacons, Reiner and the old deacons of the Red Church, could not enter into a peaceful sleep no matter what. Although Reiner had his eyes closed, his eyes kept moving, recalling the delicious taste of the little girl yesterday. The little beggar looked dirty, but she was a very young girl after all. The blood tasted so tender and sweet, much better than adult blood food. It was a pity that the little girl only gave him 5 mouthfuls of fresh blood before she went into shock. Reiner had to throw her in an alley, just like when he found her in another alley. Tonight, he wanted to find a stronger beggar who could give him a good meal. When night fell, Reiner left the Red Church, and the old deacons just looked at Reiner from behind. A deacon said, "Do I need to tell Mr. Pulley?" Vanya shook his head. "I think it's better to forget it, let Reiner try it, if he is fine with fresh blood, then we can do it too." "You're right, let him go and explore the way." Reiner walked on the streets of Lehman Town. He was already familiar with Lehman Town. Some beggars would beg outside places that were still open at night, waiting for those who went out of bars and casinos at night. Don't look at some people who are big and strong, with a face full of flesh, but among these people, there are also those who are kind-hearted and don't mind giving beggars some food. Reiner came to the outside of the tavern and saw several beggars. But for some reason, there were many more beggars. Zach, who was not far away, was a little scared. Captain Rudolph said that they should stick together and not be alone, so several of them came to the outside of the tavern together, waiting for the customers who came out in pairs of men and women. Just then, a hooded man walked towards Zach. Zach's eyelids twitched slightly, but he remembered the arrangement of Patrolman Rudolph and forced himself to muster up courage.